So when we talk about financial wellness, the first thing I want you to know is, Stephanie, you were talking about financial security and not living paycheck to paycheck. Post-COVID, over 75% of the working population, according to Commonwealth, is living paycheck to paycheck. Over 75%. And about half are concerned about making ends meet and paying all their bills. So COVID has really hit us in some ways that are, you know, unusual and tough, and we are all struggling to cope, right? So we know that we need to do things differently going forward. And so we're going to talk about what financial wellness is and some of the components of financial wellness. And then we're going to talk about two things, where it starts, and then I'm going to finish with credit, because credit is a component of financial wellness that no one understands. And so we're going to talk about that today. So we'll cover all those bases. So can everyone see my screen? It should say Key at Work.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So what we're going to talk about today is what financial wellness is and the benefits that we bring to life, okay? And then we're going to talk about our financial wellness tool, which is just wonderful. So we all just answered a question, what is financial wellness to me? Well, here at Key, we believe that it's making the choice to become actively involved in your finances. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, less than 17% of the population of this country spend 2 hours a week on their personal finances. Less than 17%. So we know that we lack personal involvement. It's also a journey. You're taking small steps every day and you're moving towards a goal. When you're financially healthy, you know that minor emergencies aren't going to cause you a financial hardship. You're understanding your spending habits, and who was it that said saving? I don't remember, but there's Amy. I think it was Amy. Your saving habits as well. You need to be planning ahead. And as you do these things, you're going to be making progress. So PricewaterhouseCoopers did a study and found that according to their survey, 20% of the working population said, I think financial wellness means not being stressed about my finances. 20% said having enough savings that I'm not worried about unexpected expenses. 20% said debt-free. If I'm debt-free, I'm good to go. 20% said I want to make choices to have fun and enjoy my life and not worry about that. All those are great answers. The last two numbers there on that page concerned us. 16%, only 16% said, I just want to make my bills. They're not making their bills. And only 4% was able to focus on the future and say, I want to be able to retire. What that number tells us is that people are so concerned about today that they can't pay attention to the future. I think everybody on the phone and in the room today would agree that at some point in time, we want to be able to retire. So if you're going to give yourself a financial wellness grade, and I'm not going to call you out, I don't want you sharing this, but maybe on a piece of paper there at your desk, or if you're at home, write down what financial wellness grade you would give yourself, okay? So how would you grade your financial wellness? If 0 is I'm in trouble and 100% is I'm absolutely perfect, I aced the test, what's your financial wellness grade? And keep that number available. So we know it's a part of your overall well-being. When you're financially healthy, you have less stress. Anybody in the room want more stress? Right? Less stress every day. You're happier at home. You're more productive and engaged at work. You're confident in your ability to make sound financial decisions. And over time, because it's a journey, you're cultivating healthier habits. So I want you to know that today your financial wellness journey can start. You have to understand where you are. You've got to know where you are. And then you've got to commit to taking action one step at a time. As you do that, you're going to build healthier financial habits, and you're going to celebrate every single time that you have success. It's important that you feel good about your journey. So who was it on the phone that said that you believed it was controlling your spending? Was that Amy or was that Stephanie? I don't remember. Who said, you know, understanding your spending? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I missed that. Did I miss that?
I agree with that, but I didn't say it.
Take credit, Stephanie. Just take credit.
I'll take the credit. I'll take it.
There you go. There you go. So I would absolutely tell you, controlling your spending is where financial wellness starts. It starts with controlling your spending. And what that means is living within your means, living on what you make and learning to control that impulse buying. Spending less than you earn every single month is the first important step to achieving financial wellness. You have to come to the point where you say, today, I'm going to start taking control of my finances and not let them control me. It can help you avoid incurring debt, right? So I don't know about anybody else on the phone, but I shared with you that I had $23,000 in credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that I had a catastrophe, and it wasn't that I had had a medical issue that I had paid for. It was just that I impulse spent. So anybody on the phone ever made a purchase that you knew you couldn't afford, but it made you feel good, so you did that?
Of course.
So I always, yeah, right? So I always wanted the shoes. I'm a shoe girl, and I always had to have the shoes. Whether I could afford it or not, if I saw a pair of shoes that was gorgeous, they were going to go home with me. And over time, that type of spending became a habit. And I started to look at that credit card as an additional source of income. So we have to understand that for us to achieve financial wellness, we need to live within our means. And what that means is setting and sticking to a budget. So we're going to talk about that. People don't like to set budgets. They feel that budgets are restrictive. They give us a lot of different reasons, and I've shown you the reasons here on this page. So some people feel that setting a budget is time-consuming. And the real answer to that is that it absolutely is. The first time you set a budget, it's going to take you over an hour. And over the course of about 3 months before you actually get it right. So you have to be willing to understand that it's flexible, and you need to be flexible too. Some folks say, I don't know where to start. I have no idea how to start this process. And that's where we come in, because we do. And James is on the phone today. Wave, James.
Hey, everyone.
James is on the phone today because James is very good at helping people build their budgets. So we know where to start. Some folks will say, well, I need more money to budget than I actually have. We understand that, and we can help you look for ways to create spendable money in your budget. We're pretty good at that too. Some folks will say, I have no control over this process and it's depressing. Anybody think budgeting is depressing besides me? When I started out, it was pretty bad.
Very depressing.
Very.
Headache.
I'm going to share something with you. Half of that statement is true and half of it is a lie. So you're right, it's depressing. I'm not going to lie about that. If you've dug yourself into a hole like I did, it can be depressing to try to claw your way out. However, hear me, you absolutely have control. Nobody made me swipe that credit card but me. And when you decide to not be a victim and to take control back, that's the bravest thing that you can do, and that's where you start. So yes, it can be depressing, but there are no victims in this room. I'm not sure what I should be spending or what's normal. Well, we see a lot of this. We can help you with that particular matter right there. I was working with my brother. I find out he's paying $189 a month for cable. That doesn't include internet, that's just cable. So I sat down with him, found out what his cable plan was, found out what his special channels were. He has a DVR. We were able to shop cable companies, and we lowered his bill by $80 a month. That's almost $1,000 a year. So we're pretty good at taking a look at some of those things. And then some folks just don't think they need it. I would tell you absolutely everybody benefits from living on a budget. So when you're going to build your budget, you're going to take action, and it's in 4 steps. And these steps are listed on this screen. And we're going to help you identify your sources of income. And then number 2, this is where the rubber meets the road. You're going to take charge of your spending. And number 3, we're going to identify the necessities that you need to cover. And then number 4, once we budget those out, we're going to take a look at what we call disposable income and decide where you want that to go. So lots of different people have lots of different sources of income. So we've listed some on this page. Do you have a full-time job or a part-time job? Do you know that 40% of full-time working Americans have a side hustle? 40%. So not only are they working full-time, but they've picked up some part-time work somewhere in order to make ends meet. Are you paid a salary, an hourly wage, or a commission, right? So I'm paid a salary. I get the same amount of money every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how many hours I work, and sometimes it's a lot. I make the same money. So we're going to help you make sense of that. Does your income vary throughout the year? So I have a friend who's a realtor. She is a very good realtor, and she makes a lot of money from about March or April through October. But then the real estate market slows down over the holidays and into the winter months, and she can actually have months where she makes 0 income. So we're going to talk about what that looks like. Are you receiving alimony or child support, or do you receive any type of government assistance? Those are all viable and valid sources of income. And you may have some other sources. Maybe you just pick up, you know, part-time work for cash or things like that. We want to talk about all of those things and identify those sources. So once we do that, then we're going to ask you to show us your bank statements or your debit card statements, because we want to look at them and see where the money's going, right? And we ask that you show us 3 months. Anybody on the phone know why 3 months?
It's average.
Well, an average is absolutely one of the reasons, right? Your utility bills and such can fluctuate. Anybody else want to take a stab at something that might contribute?
Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 3 months is what you're supposed to have saved up for a backup of income should you ever lose your employment.
Well, that's exactly right, Amy. 3 to 6 months is what the experts recommend. But I would also tell you, I don't know about anybody else on the phone, but I pay my water sewer bill quarterly. So if we're only looking at 1 month, and it happens to be a month where I don't pay that bill, we're not going to have a true picture of my expenditures, right? Also, some folks only get their hair done every 6 to 8 weeks, and this was my thing. I didn't plan for my hair appointment the first time because I only used 1 month and I was in between haircuts. So when it came up, I was like, oh, I don't have a budget for this. I haven't planned for this. So we want to look at 3 months worth of bank statements, and we're going to look for trends, right? How often do you go out to eat? You know, how often are you getting coffee? The average millennial spends between $150 and $250 a month on Starbucks. So we're going to look for those trends to find ways that we can help you trim back some of those extras and maybe create some more usable income. What do you guys think of $250 a month for Starbucks?
That's a lot.
Making your own coffee is so much cheaper. I would agree. So after we do that, we're going to identify your necessities. So I want everybody to take a look at the screen. And we've identified some particular necessities, but I'm going to ask a question, and please feel free to just, you know, give me an answer. It has your house. It has a house. What about a house? What's a necessity when it comes to a home?
I mean, well, obviously the home itself, so rent or mortgage payment.
Rent or mortgage payment. What else?
There are maintenance issues, you know, you have filters to change, or, you know, again, if an emergency of some sort arises within your home that has to be repaired.
Right, taxes. Right, taxes is very good. And what else? How about insurance? And even if you're renting, how about renter's insurance, right? So that if you're robbed, God forbid, or something catastrophic happens, you're covered. So then let's look at car. What about a car? Let's just start out by saying you have a car payment. So you have a car payment, but what else?
Gas, oil changes.
Gasoline.
Car insurance.
Car insurance. Can't drive in the state of Ohio without car insurance. And what comes up once a year? Registration.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So all of those things around your car. So now we're looking at a light bulb, which actually represents utilities, right? And I'll be honest with you all, my cell phone plan goes into my utilities bucket. Okay, that's where I account for that. So, you know, your coworkers, when we all come back together, your coworkers want you to shower, right? They want your water to be on. But we need electricity. Maybe you have natural gas. I cook with gas. All of those things go under that utility bucket. And finally, the piece of pizza that represents food, not just eating out, but grocery shopping, right? That type of thing. And maybe you have a small baby or something, diapers, and those non-perishables can go into that. So these are necessary monthly expenses. These are them. So what we're going to do is start with your take-home pay on a monthly basis. And then we're going to subtract all your necessities, okay? And as I mentioned earlier, the amount that's left is your disposable income. With that income, we're going to decide what you want to do. We're going to start you saving because that's what we want. We want you to have that emergency savings account. Key has some absolutely wonderful ways to help you do that. We want you to set that amount of money aside every single month. We recommend you do it as an automatic transfer so that the money goes and you're paying yourself. Just like you're paying bills, you're paying yourself, okay? And then make sure that you're not overspending in categories like groceries, cable TV, things like that. After you've done that, here's where the hard part comes. You're going to have to stick to it, guys. So I want you to track your spending. How many of you have your banking app on your phone? Look at your bank account every single day. Make sure that you're tracking what you spent and automate your payments when you can. Plan your extras in advance. I'm going on vacation starting Monday, and it's all paid for before I leave, right? So I'm not going to go into debt going on vacation. And then if any of you are using a checking account that has fees, there's absolutely no reason to do that. KeyBank just came out with a best-in-class product that has no fees attached to it. And quite honestly, we created an ATM relationship, and we have access to over 41,000 ATMs across the country. So make sure your bank, and that's at no fees. So make sure your bank isn't charging you. Okay, there's absolutely no reason to do that. Okay. So anybody have thoughts on that? Anybody find that process confusing?
No.
What if your disposable income is in the negative?
Hey, we've seen that before, have we not, James?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
how would you help somebody whose disposable income is in the negative? What would we start doing?
Budgeting. I mean, you have to start looking at the expenses and look at the necessities versus the wants. And we do it a lot. And a lot of the times people find that they're not always, the things that they think are necessary aren't. And sometimes we find that they are. And that's where Christy said we get super creative with helping you figure out other ways to make money aside from your full-time job. We have a lot of different creative ways that we can help with that.